In the medieval prehistory, Professor Carambo is giving evidence that they started charging people for petitions a fee. Sorry, for petitions they started charging them fees and so forth. Now we don't know if they were charging them for elections either, but nonetheless, by the time we get to 1688, it's clear that elections ought to be free. So it's possible they weren't free. It's possible that they didn't used to be free, because why would you bring a clause in a major statute law that actually is reaffirming rights and make a clause that it says, well, elections ought to be free? It suggests that they weren't. Now, the thing is, with the 1688 Bill of Rights, if elections ought to be free from commitments such as charges and so forth, then for sure petitioning ought to be free as well. And not only that, free from commitments. Put it this way, if elections are free from charges, then sure as hell petitions are free from charges, commitments such as charges. Petitions must be free from commitments such as charges for submitting them. And we know that they used to charge for petitions, and they put a stop to it. So that is a no-brainer. This is information that we've got from academic research study. So therefore, in the Bill of Rights, it suggests within itself that elections didn't used to be free, and that they used to charge for taking part in an election. Because why would they need to bring a clause that said they ought to be free? Now, what other commitments and charges are there with elections? Well, the thing is, you are bringing a ballot, a vote, a election for someone to represent you. You are giving them power, really, to be an elected MP. You are they're going to be, elected to represent. Now, the thing is, is a judicial if you are all voting for one person and empowering them to represent you, it's kind of about a person. It's all about a collection of ballots and votes, consent signatures about an individual, not a subject or a particular matter or concern. Now, these individuals are supposed to be elected by who elects them? Well, all the people from an area. Party affiliation only came in later when they started joining parties. Some don't. We always have to remember that we're voting for the person, not the party. You don't really vote for a party. You're meant to vote you're electing the person. They just happen to be a member of a party. Now, if you vote for a person, there's not really much you need to investigate, because any information you need to find out about what you're signing or who you're voting for. They tell you, they're meant to tell you what they represent. Come around and see you. It's not like an investigation or a civil case when there's a subject. It's about the person. If you want to find out about the person, you can ask them or look on there. Usually they give you the information, or their party that they represent have all their their manifestos or their policies, and so forth. There is a process what you can, I think it's the Petitions 1960 Act, elections petitions, and it is a judicial, a unique judicial procedure rules. Actually, this is another set of procedure rules, because you've got the civil procedure rules and the criminal procedure rules. I forgot about this one. This is a procedure rules for validating in investigation into if there's evidence that a petition, an election has not been run legitimately. It's not been run, if there's any cheating in it. Or if it's not valid, and that it's got an act, a special act for it. Now, this act does have justices and a prosecutor involved in it, but it's so you do have a prosecutor involved, but I don't think that it is any person who themselves necessarily are having a charge brought against them. It's to prove that the election isn't valid, and then either I think that I'll have to read the act again, but I think the objective is to prove that the election wasn't legitimate and valid, and they have to have it again, right? Or the results of it aren't valid. I don't know if there's any charges involved in it, other than to determine that it's not legitimate or not, or that it has to be reheld. There is a prosecutor, but I think that the prosecutor is there on behalf of the government to determine whether it's legitimately run or not, which is kind of like a civil case. We'll have to look at that act and have another look. Now, notice that if you've got such a case and a prosecutor, they can give directions to the judge, and the judge can direct proceedings in order to, obtain evidences and so forth. To proceed, with the case to prove that. But it's about the election itself, right? The process. Don't know, unless the evidence is that one person is guilty of, rigging it or setting it up, but I don't know whether that just proves that it wasn't legitimate or not. Like you see in a civil case. If you've got a civil case, right? A civil case, notice that the person has to, they pay you money. This person owes me, if you're a business, this business owes us £500,000 or whatever. Notice there's a payment, an order to pay money, but there's not a criminal charge. But a person has to pay a hell of a lot of money to another person. I mean, if you, get prosecuted, you might have to pay a fine, and it's a lot of money. That's monetary. You get this extra, little label that you're a criminal. If you have to do, community service or whatever, or even if it's custodial sentence or whatever, and if you don't pay fines, then after you've been sentenced, they come and collect, take your vehicles off you and stuff. There's something going on with ULEZ at the moment where it seems that they're sending fines to people with the wrong vehicle types, and they're just ignoring people when they say that it's a different vehicle and it's not actually. It shouldn't be getting those fines. And then when they go pay them, they go on the wrong website and they pay them to the LES site, not the ULEZ site. And even though they've paid some money, then they missed the date of the other one. But then they said they paid the money, but then they paid it to the wrong website. And then they're increasing their fines like boom, boom, boom from it goes up to 2, 3, 4. Then bang, it's £6,000. No one can pay that. Now, if you can't pay £6,000 fine and you can't get kind of finance for the fine, they'll come and take your vehicle because, Vobes was saying that, he didn't pay some fine in Bristol and they came out to take his van. Now, the thing is, right, the whole point of ULEZ is they're trying to get rid of these older vehicles. They're trying They really want to get people into new vehicles, all these vehicles that can be missed it. Also, it's ironically the ones that have got all the gadgets in, the listening devices, the cameras, the automated everything, and reversing cameras, and can be taken over remotely. And just vehicle just stops. And these older mechanical vehicles, like Lotuses and Golfs and these classic cars, Volkswagen camper van, they're more mechanical, older cars, even though a lot of them have got catalytic converters now and things, converted from leaded. What I think is, I think it's there's a hell of a lot of people reporting on this now in the groups, and I've only just kind of cottoned onto it and noticed that I don't think those people in the groups are completely lying and making it up. What's happening is the government are not accepting any truthful, factual communications about the fine, like, oh, this vehicle's not even, this vehicle is not even, it's not even, it's meant to, it's not due to be charged, it's not, it doesn't qualify for charges, but then they're just ignoring them. And then when they try to find the website, why have they made the Les site so even if they've got a fine and it's got a code, how are they making this other site so when you pay a fine, it takes it, accepts it? That's like asking, it's literally wide open for the fine going to the wrong place. I mean, if you get a fine and you've got a number or whatever, surely it's only accepted by the correct website, and then people pay it, and then the government are getting money in, but then they say you haven't paid it to the right place, and then the fine goes up. I think they're aggressively taking people's vehicles away from them. I think it's like an aggressive plan just to try and get them vehicles off them as quick as possible, and no one really knows what's going on while they're all opposing it, and all this protesting going on. And then I think that they think that if they can get enough vehicles off people in the meantime, they're kind of raking money in, and on the long haul they might have to pay it back, but they just need to get money coming in, even if their fines are wrong, almost like some sort of interest scam. I think they're aggressively taking the vehicles by doing the charges unlawfully, and that they are setting the website up to take the fines wrong, and probably it's coming up in Google, they've got it rigged, misleading people how it's laid out, and they're just not listening when they say that, a lot of when you type it in, actually, this Les charge, the 3.5 ton vans don't have to pay it, and they're still classed as a goods vehicle, but some people are getting the charge, and when they send evidence of their vehicle and its registration number and what type it is, they're just ignoring them. I think they're aggressively taking the vehicles off them, because when they know they're right and they know the government are wrong, so you're not going to agree with it, you're going to argue it, and then they're banging the fines up, and no one can, when it gets into the thousands, no one's got £1,000 spare. This is what Robert F. Kennedy said. So I think they're doing like a military style aggressive money grab that's trying to take they're taking the vehicles by force and perverting the course of justice in order to do it. It's a perversion of the course of justice. If you've got a website set up that's not the correct website, that you've got to pay a fine, yet it accepts the money, then that's perverting the course of justice, because you can't have a website that accepts money when you buy something from a shop, you choose what you're ordering. You're like, this handbag, it's got a description. If you're paying a fine, you got to pay a fine. What is the fine for? So, when you select, but you're only getting a fine because you got a notice. Now, if you aren't on the system on that website for that type of fine, how is it even taking your details and name if you're not on there due to pay one? I think they're perverting the course of justice, and I think that they're also perverting the course of justice by not accepting the proper explanation of the vehicle. Now, maybe some of these people are lying and trying to cheat it all because there's a hell of a lot of protesting going on in opposition, but they've been proved to have the signage up wrong, even in court and so forth. Maybe some of these people in the groups are exaggerating, but I don't think so, because there's so many people saying it, and I think someone knows what type of vehicle theirs is. Someone knows what type of vehicle they've got. If someone's got a regular van that's, like a 3.5 ton van, van drivers know what weight the van is, because they've got to know when it's overweight or not and what capacity it is. And I typed it in, and on the main website, it says that those vehicles aren't meant to be charged. And we know that they're not even in law by the 1993 driving licence. They're not even a goods vehicle. So, there's a perversion of course of justice there. There's something going on, and I don't think anyone's cottoned onto it yet. And why I've mentioned that is because it's taking things that, it's accepting things that it shouldn't accept, and there's something set up, so the wrong thing's coming up when people are looking for it. Now, so, when you're challenging the authenticity of something or the legitimacy of something, in civil matters, I got onto that because of money and paying fines, right? If they send, the bailiffs round, if you haven't paid a fine and, they get an order to collect the money, if it's been decided in a court that you're guilty, that you owe that money. But this is the thing, they've got some of the mayors and some of the, I think some of the chairmen of councils have got justice of peace powers, so they might be able to say that, they're ordering you to pay it. Although usually they have to send it to the courts, but they can issue the document with the authority, and then if you want to challenge it, you have to challenge it in the court. I think that's how it goes. But it's at no point is it invalid if it's been issued to pay the fine by the council. I think that's how it works. Because it's authorised by the council, they've made the judgment that you do owe the fine. And what you're doing is you're going to a court to prove that it wasn't you. Although I know this innocent until proved guilty, but I think they've made an order that you've got to pay it. And what you're doing is you are appealing. I think that this is how I kind of think that it works. I think that the council, and this is, if I'm totally wrong on this, then you can call me out and say I'm a retard, because Verbs has been talking about this, and they all turned up in court, and they were trying to get them to go away. But that's because effectively, so they don't appeal it. I think what's happening is that the council are saying, like, this is your vehicle, you're in that time and place, there's evidence, and they're saying, it's you, and you're not even having a chance to, say that it's not, and then they're making an order to pay. I think that's what's happening, and I think that that's why you say you appeal it, and then you can appeal it again to a tribunal, and tribunals are only kind of almost like inquiries, So I think that's what's going on, and if that's the case, then there's something not quite right, because if your vehicle is not even one that is chargeable, or if a website took a payment when it's the wrong website, it shouldn't have even accepted it. There's something set up here that's perverting the course of justice, and if councils are using justice of peace powers to make orders and then forcing you to appeal them, or you're going to get your vehicle seized, it's an aggressive method set up to seize the vehicles, and I think they just want to try and get those vehicles and get them off people and get them scrapped as quickly as possible. I think that's kind of what's happening. So it's all about the money or the vehicle. It's like stand and deliver your money or your vehicle, basically. But in Magna Carta, it says you can't take your car off you. But the government always whatever it says you can't do, particularly in the law, they always like to do it. Whatever it says that they're not supposed to do or they can't do, the government love these corrupt it's like a tradition, I think. It says that they can't do it, but they love to do it. And particularly would be going against Magna Carta. It would be like the Cameron and Starmer and Sunak and Sadiq Khan, kind of like spitting on Magna Carta, and you're standing in like a three-ring circle, like on the good and the bad and the ugly at the end, and peeing on the Magna Carta, taking a pee on it when it says, you can't take. But we know Magna Carta is legitimate enough that it's got clauses in the Petition of Right, which is all that, the jury can decide on merit of the law or on their opinion, as long as it's in the due process of law. Although the Lords wanted to slim down on justices of the peace powers only where necessary, they took a lot of the council's justice of the peace away. Only certain ones have the power now, I think. Very extremely limited to certain individuals. So that's about money and fines, right? So civil matters, you're not deemed a criminal, notice, right? So what I want to highlight is this. Civil proceedings with a council, if you don't pay a fine when you did something that constitutes paying a fine, then they increase the fine, and then what they're doing is they're not coming around for you to arrest you. Note that. Kind of like let something click and go ding. This is significant in a process. They're coming for the car. They're coming for the vehicle to take, not they're coming to take me away, ha ha, hoo hoo, hee hee, hoo hoo. They're coming to take me away, ha, ho ho, hee hee. No, they're coming for the vehicle. They're coming to take my car, ha ha, hee hee, hoo hoo, hoo hoo, against Magna Carta, hee hee, hoo hoo, hoo hoo, right? And that's what happened to Vobes when he said that they came from, they came for me, they came for his vehicle. They didn't come for him. They came for his vehicle for the money. Or they'll take his house, right? But in Magna Carta, says that you can't take your things off you, and also you're not allowed to have your things taken or be depossessed of things without lawful due process. In the Petition of Right, you're not allowed to be depossessed of things without lawful due process. Now, if a ULEZ website is accepting details that when you haven't got a fine from that place, but it's saying, I'll have the money, that's, they're accepting monies when you don't owe them anything, and they're taking it. That's perverting a course of justice because it's a due legal payment. And if your vehicle is not the type that they say it is, and it's absolutely not, and their main website says that those type don't have to pay, but after they've sent you a fine, you say, well, it's not that type, but they just ignore you, then that is a perverting the course of justice as well. That's perverting the course of justice. Now, notice that with all these ULEZ things, that they're coming for the money or the vehicle, right? Not the person, but a person might have done something wrong. A person might have done something that constitutes a fine, or park somewhere where they shouldn't, or stop somewhere where they shouldn't, right? So with this in mind, if you can try and imagine this, we've got legal processes, civil proceedings against a person, but they're not coming for him, for his physical body, right? Or to give him a label on him saying criminal. They're coming for his vehicle or for his house or his money, right? Note that. And then note the whole thing that they removed that clause that you can't be depossessed of your things without lawful due process. And note that they're not meant to be able to take your vehicle away from you, your car, if you use it for your job, which they're doing now. Now, it doesn't distinguish between civil or criminal in that. It just says you can't be depossessed of anything without lawful due process. Now, the thing is that with these elections, this is the page I've got open here in this conversation, elections, right? Elections ought to be free in the Bill of Rights, and that suggests that they they haven't always been free, because if they were always free and there wasn't a problem with it, why would you need to make a clause up to say that okay, then they have to be free now, right? You wouldn't if they hadn't been free before. Now, the right to petition, which is in the same bill, is that it is our right to petition in all commitments and prosecutions are illegal, but not just not just commitments such as being charged a fee. Not just commitments that may be something like being charged a fee or money, right? Like in the elections ought to be free. Elections ought to be free, right? But for petitions, all commitments are illegal, not just commitments that may just be a fine. All prosecutions and commitments are illegal, right? Now, we know that they were trying to charge monies for submitting petitions, and then they put a stop to it. We know that through Karen Barry research. So what we've got is a protection against being charged monies for both of these processes, but with the petition, in addition to that, you can't be prosecuted. You can't be labelled a criminal. Prosecution is different from civil proceedings, right? Remember, because you get a criminal charge. You get a criminal charge against you, right? In civil, they're going after either a house or the money or something like that. It's very important to note that, your wife could steal your things and you could want to have her prosecuted as a thief, or your wife could have your things that are yours and you could take it to civil court to get them back, that she owes you money for them or give them over. Notice that it's still your things, right? And she's got them. But in instance A, we say she's a criminal and she gets charged with a criminal offence, but that doesn't award you money for the things. But it just says that, okay, we get to say she's a criminal. She might have to say this, pay for the court fees and so forth, but that's different. But on civil matters, she might have the things, but we're not going to say she's a criminal. She's got to give over the money or the car or the house, right? Do you understand that? Very important. With all this in mind, right, then if you can kind of hold all this in your head and lay it all out as like principles, procedures and frameworks, right? What's happening with the election? Well, with the election, and I'll have to double check on this in that 1960, whatever it is, petition election rules, which is not the rules for running an election, it's for having them checked, right? But I'm pretty certain I could do with reading it again, but I've kind of just glossed over it because I didn't really understand what it was at first. So I actually rung up an actual person who actually ran an election in the one that Lawrence Fox was entering, Boris Johnson's ward. I rung him up and asked him about it, and he explained it to me on the phone. And it's to have them checked for legitimacy, authenticity, right? And there is a Crown prosecutor involved. A prosecutor usually prosecutes people, and they have justices because it's legal proceedings. But it from what I gather, there is evidence on which it will be relied upon to prove a case, but it's proving a case. You're proving that the election was not valid. I don't think you're proving that it could be not valid because of a person, because the person did something wrong. But I think it's like parking. When you park, you did something wrong. Or when you stop somewhere you're not supposed to stop for too long, like in a motorway services, you're only supposed to stop there for an hour, but it's 2 hours, right? And you got to pay a charge. You did something wrong. What else? You didn't pay your didn't pay your TV license or didn't pay the thing. So if you get an order against you because you did something wrong, they're coming for your money or for your vehicle. They're not coming for your physical body. Now, we'll have to check on this, but I'm quite certain that it appears, and I'll have to check it, I think they're going after the fact that the election, for whatever reason, whether it's a person's fault, whether it's with intent or not with intent, or whether it is or is not legitimate, whoever was the cause or whatever was the cause or reason at all, I'm quite sure that they're just going after the fact that either it was or was not legitimate for reason X, Y, or Z, whatever it is. And I'm quite sure that a prosecutor is brought by the government because they are, who we pay for to prove something. And it's not like a member of the public, like a plaintiff or a defendant, a private person's or a private company, because it's a state process and state proceedings. So it's not been run or operated by a private person, and we wouldn't pay for our own solicitor or someone else to do it, because if you challenge that the election was illegitimate, then surely the proceedings would be paid for by the state if there was evidence, because we're the taxpayers and we pay tax for things to be proved on behalf of the state. Kind of a little bit like you've got immigration and postmaster and all these other state proceedings and so forth. I think he is a prosecutor, but and he's trying to prove a case with evidence, but I don't think that he's in that act, and I could be wrong on this. We'll have to read it and check it, but I'm making this video now while I've thought of all this, so I'll have to check it all later. But all that stuff earlier that I said, I think it's correct in principle. I think they're going after the fact and proving the fact, and then what happens is either it's legitimate or not for whichever reason. Maybe then you can go after the person if it's fraud or whatever. But then, now this is the thing: if the election, if the process of having an election by vote is considered a petition for a petition for election of a candidate, a petition to the king that, we petition the king for our representative to be nominee A, B, or C. We hereby petition His Majesty the King and the local council that, we petition for who we want our representative to be. Then people can't be prosecuted themselves. They can't be prosecuted themselves if it is a form of petition, because all prosecutions are illegal. But that doesn't, if a person can't be prosecuted, then you could still say that you could still have that proceedings to say that it was or wasn't illegitimate, and then you will have to have again, you have to hold again the election, or just say that that person wasn't elected, right? So you're going after the fact of truth, right? That's how I seen it now. So you don't have like a person convicted. Now, whether or not after proving that case that the election is or not valid, this is the thing. If it's a form of petition, then maybe they can be prosecuted because of the right to petition. Which means that people are immune from fraud, but it doesn't mean that you can't prove there was a fraud and redo the whole process. It just means that no one gets prosecuted. Now, this is the thing. In civil proceedings, you can, just not pay your parking fines, you can not pay this, you can not pay that, but notice that you don't get called a criminal. This man's a criminal. They come for the money or for the vehicle. Now, I think in the elections petitions process, you can say I'm wrong on this, I think they're going just for the fact of whether it was or was not legitimate. Now, this is when you've got this whole Donald Trump thing in America. This could be very, very significant and relevant to this Donald Trump case going after Trump, because they're saying, to do with elections being rigged or not and so forth, because impeachment, because this is what they're arguing about. They're arguing about the First Amendment protection and whether or not it's just about whether it was illegitimate or not and rerun it or not the person. Now, why this is significant is because when we get onto the right to petition the government, and we're saying now, apparently, what is all this immunity that they keep now laughing at and joking about and ignoring it? What is this immunity all about? Well, it's the right to petition, immunity. Bringing a casework. Because when you're petitioning, remember, you have brought the case in the first place. You're the person who initiated the cause, the claim, the case, and you're getting the public to support not only the cause and the case, but evidence of public concern, support, like the jury advocating it effectively. And the thing is, it's Crown. It's you're petitioning the king, the crown. Whenever you mention the crown, you're looking at Crown Court, right, as a bare minimum, because you've got the jury there. And the thing is, when you're petitioning the king, you're getting the public, right, to sign and support you versus His Majesty's government, the king, right? This is Crown Court level. That's what we call it, the crown. If it's Crown Court, the king, why isn't the king deciding? Well, notice that when you have Crown Court, that's when the jury pop up, your peers, but it's called Crown Court. Magistrates Court is not Crown Court. It's 3 justices and you don't have the jury. The jury aren't there. So the jury won't be there to support or sign the petition anyway. But you've got three magistrates, justices of the peace. Now in the Crown Court, you've got a judge, district judge, but you have the people appear at Crown Court level. Petition the king, crown level, Crown Court, bout, there you go, there's the people, the jury. So when you're doing a petition to His Majesty's government, petitioning the king, and you're signing it by the people, this is why I don't think that it goes to the magistrates, these 3 justices, because there's no jury, because you're already involving the jury. Now, they had this process of getting petitions checked locally and referred to government through justices, London magistrates, and grand jury, but then they scrapped having to do that. You go directly to Parliament. But it's still a legal case because Parliament Petitions Committee have got powers of summons and the same powers as an inquiry or a tribunal, right? Because it's an investigation. And all of those places can refer any criminal matters or civil matters to the High Court. That could be the case with this Petitions Elections 1960 Act. After they've proved the case, the prosecutor's there to prove the case. If it becomes evident that there was a fraud or corruption, it wasn't an accident or whatever, or whatever the evidence is, maybe they can refer the matter to the High Court or Supreme Court for a criminal charge. But it depends. I mean, why don't they, when you're naughty and you don't pay your parking fines or you don't pay your fees, and they prove that why are they only coming for your vehicle and your money? Why aren't they trying to take you to the Supreme Court to get convicted as well? They're not. Notice that they're going after a different thing. Why don't you get your wife prosecuted for this or that? Because you don't get the money and you want the money. And, she might get locked up, but you don't get the money. You're the plaintiff. What you're actually after is the money, to force them to give you it. Maybe some people get a private prosecutor and do both. But there's this thing called jeopardy of law. We're using the full spectrum now. This is like the fucking full Monty. This is like, this is like fucking everything. This is like all in. right? This is all taking into consideration all facts and circumstances of the case, all procedures, all clauses, compatibility, what's going on here, how's it working. You've got this jeopardy of law, which means that when someone's already suffered a legal consequence for one set of facts and circumstances, you're not supposed to, they're not supposed to face the same facts and circumstances again, like I did in Manchester and Huddersfield, when it was like, one set of, it was one thing that I was doing, going around, promoting the petition, it was one. It's like, it's almost like saying, I got on the bus to Scarborough from Leeds, and when I got there, I got charged for getting on the bus, and I got charged for getting off the bus, when, you only get charged. I got on the bus at Scarborough, I paid the fee, I was charged. When I got to Scarborough, I got off the bus. They didn't charge me for getting off the bus, right? That is one journey. So I set off and I started, distributing leaflets in Huddersfield. And when I finished them in Manchester, right, I started the journey, but they charged me for doing the leaflets at the start of my leaflet distribution in Huddersfield. And then they charged me again when I got to Manchester. Like, if I got on the train at Huddersfield and then got off the train at Manchester, why did they charge me for getting off the train when I got on there at Huddersfield? And it was the same journey, the same facts and circumstances. I think that's a good way of explaining it and demonstrating it. So that's why I think the jeopardy of law rule could be very relevant with the question arising, if you get your wife prosecuted in criminal court, then why should you take it to civil court or vice versa, and there's the thing is, if you go to civil court and any criminality arises, you can have it dealt with in the civil court. There's a procedure where, kind of in a civil court, you can actually get criminal matters dealt with. But the thing is, usually in the usually you can have multiple charges, but usually they go for the most serious one. You can be there on multiple charges, but I think you usually get convicted of. I know there's these 3 counts of this and 4 counts of that, but I think they usually try and get they usually go for like the most, whatever evidence they've got for the most serious out of them all, and I think there's something to do with that. Like if you're in a civil court and, if your wife's got all your stuff, how did she get it? Did she steal it, or do you just want it back? I think that, having to give it back or pay quite a lot of money is, but then again, what happens, when people steal things with the police, about a civil case of getting it back. I think the fact is the police have got it, the police have got it, and there's some very, very odd crossover when you think about it between, the thing with theft is, it took something to make themselves a gain and put you at a loss, right? But that's what your wife does if she's got all your stuff. But if she did it on purpose, it just happens to have it all because you had an argument. But there was certain. This is when you get into how did they end up with it? Did you just stop? Did you just stop out and leave them, or you had an argument and then you got how did they end up with it? It's. But then again, usually. You want to try to get something back because someone won't give you it. So, like with my scratch card, that I told them not to. I didn't want to claim the prize, and then they just ignored me, and they refused to give over the telephone evidence if I'm pursuing them. I think they stole it off of me. The evidence is in the telephone recording, so there's crime in that. Now, if I go to civil court and I say, look, I want they owe me the money for the scratch card, or it's got a value to it, or they've got the card, I want it back. But then if I say, well, yeah, I think it was stolen, if the person can get convicted, a person could be you know. But the thing is, when it's a business, you've got, the thing with that is, you know, Camelot as the business, certain people in that business might actually be guilty of theft. You might be able to get a conviction, but as for your money coming back, the company itself, the entity, is separate from the individual, right? The company and managing director, you know, is the company that you're suing a company, an entity, for the money, but the person's responsible are individuals. So, you know, maybe black belt barrister. This is probably where I would say that someone like black belt barrister is. That's where he is more intelligent than me. A lot more intelligent than me, and that is where I at the moment I don't quite have my head around it. There are a few dynamics that come into play, situational, what the person was thinking, what their intent was, why they did it, the motive and all that. All those things are quite significant and come into play in that situation, not just the value of the object, what is it really worth, you know, in the law, did it say that you had a right to have it and they didn't have a right to take it at that stage under those circumstances? That's kind of different, you know, and I'm not quite at the moment sort of, I haven't got my head around it. I know that that's the type of thing that why you would pay, what black belt barrister would have to prove in a court with his skills, that you're paying for all that money for his skills. But when it comes down to like the principles of law for, you know, these processes and procedures, I think that there's some going back to the elections and petitions and referendums. What I'm wanting to do is demonstrate why it might be illegal to prosecute someone, and instead it's regarded as more important to just sort out the subject and the issue, and you're going after the facts, and rather than a person. And even if there might be something done wrong, like what someone wasn't supposed to do, there might not be a conviction. It might more be like someone has to pay some money or do this or that, you know. And this is why we're looking at Gail Bradbrook with the window, breaking the window for part of a promotional theatrical activity that was promoting a campaign, and as a protest. Should she just have had to pay for the window in civil matters and not a prosecution, you know? But then again, if you can't be held to any commitments, why pay for the window? The window is insured, we know that. Now, when you look at that, there are many instances where builders and developers don't have a right to destroy or demolish a building, but they do. And so far, through the history, we haven't been prosecuting them with criminal charges. They've been fining them or making them put it back or pay for it. They haven't been going after the individual with a criminal offence, and we know that locally with developments and building, cheating planning. And that's the key here. Although with this crooked pub in Birmingham, the police have decided, I think, they were going to go after the person because there was intent to do it. But isn't there always intent to do it? If you've done this planning and you weren't supposed to build it, you didn't build it wrong, then surely you never had the intent to build it right. Always, unless you were stupid enough to do it by accident or you didn't know. But they don't usually go for that. But an entire building is destroyed. So we're in and around these things, and none of this is being argued in court, discussed, put on the table, gone through, debated. It's been completely. We're talking about why are we here? What is the procedure there for? What are the whole, you know, what are the ins and outs of this process, and what is its purpose? When we're claiming political rights and immunities, Why make it illegal to be prosecuted when in the 1661 Tumultuous Act there was a legal procedure of things that we've done wrong in connection with bringing petitions, and it was taken by the King's Bench, by the assizes, but that's not the magistrates' court. Now, there was three justices or magistrates or a grand jury involved in checking the petition and approving it to proceed if there's more than so many people. But if there was a crime, it wasn't by the... well, this is the thing. When you go in King's Bench, you go in jury, aren't you? Which is the people. But then they said, no, the jury doesn't look at it, or the justices, or the magistrates. It's going to the committee. And the committee have got these tribunal powers for looking at the petitions and directing proceedings to investigate the facts and circumstances, because they wanted to find out. They're going after the facts, like in the petitions election procedure rules. Even though there's a prosecutor there, they're going after the facts, not after the person, right? Now, they did go after the person, I think, through assizes, but they scrapped it and they said that, well, look, all prosecutions are illegal. And that, to back it up, they said that in the claim of right as well in Scotland, to back it up. All imprisonments are illegal in connection with petitioning. So they weren't beating around the bush. They weren't messing around. They weren't entertaining the idea. They weren't making it vague. It's absolutely clear, with absolute, complete and total clarity. So therefore, if, so what then? What can you have if not a prosecution? But, commitments is that civil consequences. Most damage is insured unless it's absolutely irreplaceable, like that scratch card that I found, which, well, it is replaceable, but I'll never have that scratch card again, because I found it in Wakefield in a shop, and there were only so many of those made, and it was 40,000 to 1 odds. And I found that piece of paper, and I scratched that off. And I wanted to keep that, and they let me keep the ones that I'd had before for the Christmas calendar with the other managing director. He let me keep it, and I got the money because I wanted it. And the new Nigel Railton, he wouldn't let me have it. He said, no, I'm not giving you it. You can't have it, and I'm not even going to, and I said, well, I don't want the money. Well, he wouldn't even let me annul the claim. He wouldn't let me cancel the claim. I didn't have to claim the money. I could, if I hadn't been led to believe that he was going to seize it from me, I wouldn't have claimed it, and I would have been entitled. I would have been legally entitled to keep the scratch card, because there was no requirement to claim the prize. I didn't have to claim it. I was legally entitled to keep the card and not claim the money. Now, the card, it cost £5 to buy it, and the odds of finding the jackpot one are 40,000 to 1. And if I'd have had to buy 40,000 cards until I found it, it would have cost me up to £200,000 to find one. So, as an object, if you really wanted to pursue getting one, it could cost you up to £200,000 to get it. So if you're lucky enough to find it, to a gambling collector, to someone who collects rare prints, rare printed matter with designs and logos on it, as a valuable, rare collector art piece, printed matter, it's worth up to £200,000, right? But Camelot say that, well, we'll give you 500 quid for it, right? if you find one of these, we'll give you £500 reward for finding it. That's what we're going to offer you for it, right? But if you know what it's really worth, like, if you dig a piece of gold up out of the ground, someone might offer you 10p for it. But if you really know what it's worth, its real true value is to you or to someone else, not the person who says, I'll give you 10p for it, then it has more value. Now, the fact is that, do you want the £500 or not? The thing is, previously, I claimed the Christmas calendar scratch card, and he said, here's your 200 quid. We'll give you £200 if you find that card. And I said, can I have the card as well? He said, yeah, keep it. And he sent me it back in the post with the cheque written out from Camelot. And he didn't want the card. He gave me the reward for finding it, and he said, keep the card. If you want it, you can have it. I don't mind. Now, when Nigel Railton came in, he didn't want me to have it, and he claimed that the Camelot rules say that they own the card. It's their card. They don't have to give you it, and he won't let me have it. Yeah, but when I find that card, I don't have to claim the prize. If I want to keep it and not claim it, I can. And just have the card. But then I don't get a cheque nicely written out that says, it's from Camelot. Well done. So, but if I had just been to Camelot with the previous manager, and I had claimed a prize, and he let me keep the card, I am led to believe that I'm safe to send a card in and claim the money and let me keep it. Now, if he wasn't going to let me keep it, if I claim the prize, then I'm not. They're fine then. I won't have the prize. I'm going to annul my claim. I don't want to claim it. Send me the card back unclaimed. This is the conversation on the telephone, right? Now, they didn't send me the card back as I asked and directed to them on the phone. They sent me the cheque, and I said, well, I told you not to send me it. So I said, well, I want the telephone conversation. You stole it from me. I want the recorded telephone conversation, right? Where I'm recorded on your telephone system, all phones are recorded, telling you to send me the card back if you're not going to let me keep it. I'm not claiming the prize unless I can have the card. I'm investigating a crime now. I'm a citizen pursuing crime using my jurisdictive powers of investigation under the Criminal Law Act 1967, Section 431. If you don't give me the recorded video conversation, you're breaking the law. And I'll have to go to the court to subpoena it off you as well, right? But I had a lot of things to concentrate on, and I kept mentioning it in chat. I kept mentioning it in the chat, so it was recorded, and so that I told Camelot that I was serious about taking him to court. But remember that at the time I found the card, I'm ill with stress, right? Because I'm ill with stress at the time I found the card. Although I've got to get out and get some exercise, or I'll get obese and put weight on and become like I am now, putting weight on and becoming more depressed. So you got to get out of the house and you got to go somewhere. You got to do something at some point and get some fresh air. In COVID, they told you to do exercise, so you can't stay in the house all the time. I was in Wakefield, right? I'd gone on the bus, to stretch my legs and, have a walk around Wakefield. In fact, the shop that I found the scratch card at was opposite the police headquarters. Funnily enough, believe it or not, where this Ray of Light Festival of Light Sports Centre is up next to. So, I was ill, and I've been ill ever since. I haven't got better. So legally, I haven't run out of time to claim because, being ill is something of which you can claim extension on your time to claim legal cases if you're not fit or if you're not feeling, or financially capable or capacity to claim. So, I've been ill the whole time and still am. So, I haven't done it yet just because, I've... I'm not well. There's a lot of letters that I haven't done and things I haven't read because I've not felt up to it. So, and my doctor's covered me and backed me up with it. So, I've got this claim with Camelot. That is, is it theft or is it a monetary claim? But when I put the monetary claim in the civil court, when it comes to like they refused to give the telephone message over when I believed that they put me at a loss and made a gain because that card really, it's worth something to me. And they might have destroyed it, but, when I sent it in, I hadn't scratched it. You're meant to scratch it off fully, but you can't. Many people sometimes claim it as long as they've scratched the code off. They'd ping it on the machine and it still lets him claim it as long as the code's scratched off and not the whole card. And many people do that. And I thought it was kind of nice that I found the jackpot on the second scratch. I scratched one symbol and the second symbol I found the jackpot. And I'm like, wow, what were the chances of that? I found it on 2 scratches. I thought it was quite cool to... I made a video about I filmed myself doing it. And I can't access that video at the moment because YouTube have taken my channel, suspended my channel, and I can't get the video. So if I'm going to go to court, I'll probably need to subpoena my entire channel back from YouTube to get access to the video as well. And the Judicial Conduct Investigation Office aren't even helping me get my channel up to access my files for case management with my case to them. To the Judicial Conduct Investigation Office, who have got the power to subpoena my channel, to me, not just to them, to me. I'm a claimant. When you've got a case to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office, you're the claimant, right? And, whatever else comes to light or whatever, probably... It's meant to be about the judge, though, what the judge did or didn't do, not you. So this is the thing. When you go to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office, they're not investigating me. So, I'm the claimant against the judge. So, in a way, I've got immunity, like in the Inquiries Act, because I'm a witness. I'm the claimant, I know that other people can have found to have been the crime, but the charges can be changed and swapped about. But there's a scope of a case usually, but they can refer matters and so forth. This is where I don't think the CPS are even doing it properly. This is where a lot of them are way out of the water and they don't really know what to do, and I don't think they're taught it. You've really got to know that this is when you've got to know the Magistrates Court Act and the Civil and Criminal Procedurals off by heart, letter for letter, and I don't think Keir Starmer does. I don't even think Keir Starmer knows it off heart by heart. And you've got to know every single other act of law, its compatibility, and I don't think they all do. I really don't think the CPS do, and this is why you get the local councils. They use the Town and Country Planning Act for themselves, but they're not petitioners themselves. They're not bringing a petition. They don't know. They don't need to use Class F immunity because they're the council, and when they want to put some up or pay some, we've got the authority to do it. So they're never challenged legally, so they never have to use Class F and the right to petition immunity because they're never challenged in law. No one even tries to prosecute them or challenge them or fine them because they're the council. We've got the authority to do it. So they don't really know the act. This is like Bristol Council when they're telling people to take banners down over the road. Oh, it's over the highway. we don't put it over the highway. Well, you do. You've got signs over the highway. A road sign's a sign over the highway. They've got HGV in fields from farmers all the way up and down the motorway, but they don't tell them to move them out of the way because of the distraction, whether it's left, right, up or above, down or below, if it's attached securely. This is the thing. This is the thing with them all. They don't... they're only concerned when it comes to them, and when it comes to someone else, they're challenging them. They're supposed to take into account the claimant's rights, right? They're supposed to take into account the claimant's rights and acknowledge them, but in a lot of the cases, they're not, because they don't understand them, and they don't care. When they're the council, and the majority of the council is Labour or Tory, and if you're pursuing something that they aren't keen on, then they're usually wanting to try oppose you, even though they're meant to be acting as an impartial authority that you're challenging and using whatever they're using themselves. You can oppose with the same powers. When it comes to at least signs and notices. Well, they're not meant to be promoting and influencing the electors, but they can promote and influence their elections themselves, when they're getting elected. And you've got to be able to equal that in your case that you're bringing for what they bring the case for election. This is the thing with Donald. They're arguing over Trump now. They're still arguing over Donald Trump. They're arguing over whether he can and can't be prosecuted, and a lot of American citizens are saying that it breaks the First Amendment. There's a lot of arguments over it still now, saying that it's a scandal, and I think there's something in it. The Donald Trump case over that election business and his finances, it's got something. There's something relevant to that in due process to do with that 1960 petitions elections proceedings, because it's to do with who's at fault and why. Was it a crime, and are they going after the crime, or are they only going after the facts because they want it to be they want the election to be reheld, and declare it invalid. It's the same as when you've done something bad or wrong. Parking, you're being charged a fine, but they're not coming for you, your physical body. They're coming for your stuff, and I think that this is what's happening with those les and ULEZ charges. They're going for the vehicles. They want to get them all off the road and take them, and I think they're going to. Once you knock the fines up to a couple of thousand, when you in your mind, you all went on the wrong website, and it took the money, or my vehicle is this vehicle. Why are you taking the money off of me? My vehicle is it's a 3.5 ton van. It says on the main page of the website. I've checked, but they're ignoring them, and it's some form of entrapment, aggressive, military style, kind of like a perversion of the course of justice that's happening with the whole London ULEZ thing. That is now what I've come to understand it as when I've been looking on the groups and trying to figure out what's going on. Yes, there are a lot of people protesting. Yes, there are a lot of people camping outside Khan's house. Yes, there are a lot of people apparently taking the cameras down. Yes, there are a lot of people... apparently, obstructing the cameras or protesting and grumbling. Maybe there's a lot of people lying and, registering their vehicle with Khan and all this stuff. That's why I think it's like the wrath of Khan. Like on Star Trek The Next Generation, the wrath of Khan. What I think Khan's doing with his council, Traffic for London, is he's... think, bollocks to you all. What he's doing is saying, look, these little buggers are taking my cameras down, they're using the political rights, they're causing havoc, chaos in London. So what he's doing is saying, right, fuck you. What he's doing is he's coming aggressive with those fines, but what the objective of it all is, while the bedlam's going off with the cameras, while the bedlam's going off with all the stickers or whatever it is, or the promo and all the smoke, they're aggressively. What it's about is those vehicles. They're wanting to get them off the road because they want to force everyone into modern vehicles where they can surveillance them, listen in through the headsets, look through the cameras all around 360 of the vehicle and the environment bit as well. But it's radio controlled. They can flick a switch and the vehicle turns off, the engine goes off on the bus. The steering can start going out of sync, corrective steering, veering. The tyres can, self-inflate. It suddenly can stop. Someone walks out in front of you, sensors that they're wanting to get everyone in those vehicles because it's control and power. And the environment thing is, if you want to control a mechanical vehicle, an old school vehicle, like they've got in Australia, all these old-fashioned vehicles, you've got to get a mechanic out there. If you really want to be able to control someone's vehicle to make it stop, or the brakes not work, or it just shut off, or figure out what's going inside the vehicle, you've got to send someone to bug it, chip it, put a spy camera in there, and it's got to have a battery, the battery's got to last. You've got to get someone to cut the brakes, or rig the handbrake, or tamper with the engine. You can't it's not convenient for you to hack it, intervening remotely through Bluetooth if it's an older vehicle. It's a lot harder to do if you want to be like this omnipotent, kind of empirical, malevolent, central, absolute power, robotic control authority, and at the moment they're really trying to get those vehicles off the road. That's what I think they're going for. And Big Brother Watch know about this, the campaign group, but people like Extinction Rebellion, Jonathan and Fuller, they're just they're not on that wavelength. They really don't want. They're so obsessed with us all. We're going to die anyway, kind of like Doomsday, Judgment Day. Oh, we're all going to burn in furnaces, and Iceland volcanoes erupting, and toxic air poison. And even though none of that matters, if Putin drops a virus on us all, why does it even matter? Even if he's found that he caused it on purpose, it didn't really matter, does it? Because once he's done it, it's done. What can you do about it other than, if the World Economic Forum lock us all down, and they've got motion sensors fitted outside his house from courtesy of EE, and then they send, Balfour Beatty on a, Marty McFly radiation suit kind of, thing where they were going to fine us if we go outside, the radiation suit people walking around, doesn't matter if they find out Putin did it or not, because it doesn't matter, if Putin, this is just an example, by the way, I'm not saying Putin would do that, but, if he did, then it wouldn't matter whether he was found to have done it on purpose or not, because it would be done, and then we'd all be fucked, and then got the radiation suit people around, and that if anyone leaves their house, boop, 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 motion detectors that EE duped us all into getting for free, probably, I would get a free motion detector outside your house, this is it, so I don't like it all. But I'm kind of going off subject now, so trying to get back onto the whole, it's civil. There's some kind of switch. I know. I don't know. This you can call this thing called jeopardy of law, where it basically are saying, look, come on, you're basically vulnerable to multiple charges, but the word jeopardy though seems that you're at risk. Why would you be at jeopardy? Why would you be at risk? The word jeopardy is kind of like you're at risk of multiple charges, or you're not just you are being given multiple charges or jeopardy of law. Well, aren't the police under constant jeopardy of law in their job because they're always breaking the law? If they didn't have all those rights where they're allowed to do this or that, they wouldn't be at constant. If they didn't have all these legislative clauses in modern codified law, what says what they can and can't do, or they've got this area of flexibility, then if they didn't have that backup of legislation, then they would be in constant jeopardy of permanently ongoing multiple challenges and charges. If the public suddenly started wanting to prosecute the police or go at them, but are they suing the police and the civil, or is it? Can you use jeopardy of law for multiple civil cases? I think that's another thing that's just clicked into place now as well. It's just coming to my mind now. This is like the whole YouTube and Zuckerberg Facebook argument, and this is why the White House has given YouTube and Google and Zuckerberg and Mohan this immunity. Jimmy Dore calls it Section 20 or whatever it's called. I forgot what section it is, 12. Section 12 or Section 20, whatever. Jimmy Dore's talking about it all the time. And that is because they're in jeopardy of law. They've got so many billion, they've got billions channels on YouTube and users that if they had claims going all the time, what's he called? Paul Groves, the legal director, he might be in the jeopardy of law because there'd just been multiple cases. They'd be getting fined left, right, and centre, or even possible criminal charges if they were giving out false statements all the time. And because of the jeopardy of law, they've been given this immunity, but that doesn't mean they can break the law. They're not allowed to, they can't commit fraud, for example. I don't think that section blah 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 is for those copyright cases actually. And when it comes to their policy, our policy says we can do this, it's our policy. Challenging them on the policy is a civil matter. That they're not immune from being challenged on the policy or for committing crimes. They're only immune. They're not liable as a third party for disputes between a party A and B. That's not if you've actually got something that YouTube themselves are doing wrong. But it protects them from. It's protecting them from jeopardy of law from these other parties because it's getting them involved in it, right? Now, maybe this is why courts have this, why the courts getting involved in, the courts, if you've got a civil case between party A and B, and dragging the court into it, but if the court do something wrong, then you've got to report them to the Judicial Conduct Investigations Office, haven't you, But they've got to be able to do the job because they're dealing with court cases. But usually it's the person who brings the case, the claimant, the matter he's bringing is about something else because you've got to lay your evidence and so forth. I do think that you can turn the table. I can't remember where I saw it, and I've tried to find this, and I still can't find it again, that you can change the tables, that the defendant becomes, the witness on the prosecution becomes a defendant, I'm sure, or someone else can be guilty of the offence, but there's a special procedure you've got to go through to do it. And I still think that even if the person who's accused has got multiple charges, they still go after they can be, I think they can be, I don't know if they can be convicted on one offence or multiple offences, but they can have multiple charges. I forgot, and whenever I've read it and I try to find it again, I can never find it. But I think they go for this, whenever there's something more serious, they kind of ignore, I know that for sure. Whenever there are like petty things, they always go for the most serious one, particularly when they've got evidence for it and they focus and concentrate on that. That's something to do with if you're the plaintiff bringing the case or you're the claimant, then it's, and also when the thing is, when you're calling in witnesses or like a jury, I think that they've got the immunity, you see, not only from the media, but, the jury aren't on trial, let's say that. If you're called in on the jury and you're sworn in as a justice of the peace, you're not on trial. So, I know that Ben Boothby, who was a friend, he had a forensics company, he was a disgruntled police officer, disgraced police officer, and he was coming as a witness, and something happened where they had to throw the whole court case because he was a sacked police officer who was, running a forensic thing and all this. It ruined the integrity of the proceedings, so they had to throw it. But I don't think he particularly got charged or prosecuted. That is sort of what's going on when when the defence calls witnesses and when the prosecution calls witnesses. I think that because, they're not here for them, they're here for something else. That's the immunity, I think. And then you've got the informers, the police informers, who are they're helping the prosecution, and the prosecution agree that they're not going to prosecute them. It's kind of like a promise. We promise not to prosecute you because you're helping us out, and you're taking our side. You might have done something wrong or illegal, or you might be doing something wrong and illegal, but we're going to make an agreement with you not to prosecute you because we're going after another person and it's more serious matter. And that's, again, like the going for the more serious charge and so forth. Why they do that when they might know people are criminal? Well, this is law. This is the thing, and this is kind of one of the things that Black Belt Barrister acknowledges in law. The law's not perfect, the legal system's not perfect, and so forth. Down to this, it might be illegal even though you didn't do it on purpose. It's still an offence and all that. Although supposedly, if you believe you're innocent, apparently you can't be guilty. I don't know whether they laugh at that one or not, but still, so. There's a lot of things going on. That jeopardy of law definitely is the case with YouTube, and the reason why the government made them certain clauses. So, again, I've used that jeopardy of law argument before, and they just blanked it. I've used the out of jurisdiction argument and won that, but I didn't win it with the court. I won it with the CPS. I've had the CPS drop a charge because they were out of jurisdiction of that police force and so forth, but they didn't agree with the double jeopardy, even though it was the same facts and circumstances. They said because I was in two counties, then they did two charges, one for each county, even though both counties knew that it was the same set of facts and circumstances. It's kind of like getting on. You can't be charged a fee for getting on a bus just because you've gone out of the county. I'm riding. It's almost like the bus ticket. You can get like. Have you got a bus ticket that you can use in an all-day rider for all counties? Or is it only within your county? Or is it only for one bus ride? Did you get a return ticket? It's like that, the double jeopardy of law. The double jeopardy of law is the same facts and circumstances. It's the same journey, Is it a one bus ticket, activity that you're engaged in? Is it a county activity you're engaged in, or is it a national rider activity? Well, I would actually probably say that now this has just come to mind as well now, that if you're petitioning the local council, it's likely that, if you're doing things for the petition, you only need to do them in the county, don't you? Within the county, the electorate or the county, if you're petitioning there, although you might need to go to a library for something like, Manchester Library or London Library or the National History Museum, you might have to, but usually, if you're petitioning the local council and you're doing a protest or something for it, you're usually active in the council, kind of like the police, active in their own jurisdiction. But if you're doing if your petition's a national petition to Parliament about the whole country, then it's under the jurisdiction of Parliament's whole country. So it's likely that it's going to be something to do with all of the country. that's the facts and circumstances of the petition are national. So that's like, getting a national coach ticket. You can travel, from, Leeds to London, So I would have said that they should have acknowledged my double jeopardy charge, because the facts and circumstances were that it was a national matter. So, it involves multiple counties, so therefore those facts and circumstances are the same. It's not a completely different, separate incident that's not connected to it. That's how I'd explain it. It's easier to understand it that way. Now, the thing is, if you are doing petitions, then you might be under jeopardy of law, because you might be, at risk, constant risk. If you're a police officer, you're at constant risk of, breaking the law, because you have to break it. But you have scuffles with, criminals, with defendants. So you're always at risk of them bringing actions against the police, so you're at jeopardy constantly. This is the thing with petitioning. But this is the thing. But what the position the courts have got at the moment, and the position that the ministers have got, is, why would you be breaking the law? You don't have the right to break the law when you're petitioning. But all prosecutions are illegal, though. Why would you need to break the law? Well, because there are certain things that we can do that other people can't. Class F materials other people aren't using, we can put them places that other people can't. But we were at risk of getting challenged on it. But by who? Who would, if you're allowed to do it? People who aren't educated in the law, people who don't believe in or understand your rights, maybe, but this is sort of it. It's it's almost, but this is the thing, and the thing is, the police go about, they get permissions to do things. They've got certain flexibility to do certain things when their chief says, or commander, but they've got to go to the judges for certain other things. And this is where the petitions committee are failing us, when we're bringing the case, we're the claimant, and there are certain things we can ask or request, in the inquiry. The inquiry aren't the ones the complete total control, and the judge isn't the judge isn't control. The judge isn't. If the judge was controlling and directing your solicitor, why are you paying the solicitor if the judge is in control and command? It's called direct. They're called directions. You give directions to the court. You can submit them. That they're called directing the case. It's like hand signals. Excuse me, sir. You put your hand up. Excuse me, I'd like to speak. You're putting your hand up. Excuse me, headmaster. Excuse me, could I go to the toilet, please? The headmaster's teaching the class, but you're giving a direction. Excuse me, headmaster. Can I be excused, please, to go to the toilet? I need to pee, or I don't feel well. Can I go to matron? Get down. Or if you puke all over the floor, the headmaster's directing. Get down to matron for some coddle of a royal fretwell. This is a fretwell. Get down to matron for some coddle of a royal boy. He's giving a direction, but this is the thing. If you need to wee. Says, excuse me, I need to go wee. You put your hand up. Excuse me, sir. I need to go for a wee. Please, can I go for a wee? Can I be excused? This is it. It's a direction. Now, this is the thing with the solicitor in the court and the barrister. Your Honour, we would like to seek permission for a subpoena of this evidence for the case. Or we would, my client, my defendant is ill. Your Honour, he would like extension on his time. I would like leave, Can we adjourn, please? He doesn't feel well. They were giving directions. Now, the thing with... we've got initiative, we've got capacity, we've got capabilities. We're not completely incapable, The headmaster's not going to run the marathon for you. Yes, boy, we're going to PE lessons now. Excuse me, head teacher, can I be excused from PE? Yeah, I've hurt my ankle, oh, boy, oh, boy, get back out and run that marathon race. Get around the track, boy. This is it, you're not excused, boy. I've got a doctor's note, though, sir. No, boy, you'll go and watch the marathon. You go watch it, get some fresh air. This is it. But there are procedure rule. You're allowed. Part of the function of court is giving and receiving of directing, in order for all parties to come to a conclusion and get a judgment out of it. The thing with the Petitions Committee in Parliament is that, we'll handle everything, vote for us. Vote for the Tories. We'll take care of everything. We've got all the policies set out. Just vote for Keir Starmer. Don't worry. Leave it all in Keir's hands. Everything's in control. All you have to do is put that ballot, tick the ballot, put it in the box, and hey presto, by magic, everything will be perfect. Oh, just a minute, Keir. I'd like to come into this. Have you got a surgery? Can we come and see you? I'm not ill, but, well, not for that surgery. I am ill when I go to the doctor's surgery, but I'm not politically ill. I'm not politically incapable, I'm not politically incompetent. Can I speak to you? 10 minutes with Keir Starmer. I'd like to can I give some directions to the Labour Party? I am a member, after all, Keir. I'm a member of this Labour Party. I'd like to give some directions. Oh, look, it's, it's Sleaford Mods, it's Jason Williamson, Sleaford Mods, Kebab Spider, can I give some directions, Keir Starmer? No, boy, you're expelled from the party. And look, here's, Boris Johnson. Boris, get out, And apparently now there's, Ben, what's the guy in the petitions? Scott Benton's been apparently removed from his party. Jeremy Corbyn, he's the leader of the political party. I'm in charge. I'm in charge of these proceedings that we're bringing to Parliament. No, now you're not. Now Keir Starmer has removed you. You've been removed from the party. Can I give directions? No. We'll kick you out of court, but you can't kick Mr. Corbyn out of court, out of Parliament, because he's been elected into power by the voters. But you rejected him from the party. But he's still in there. This is the thing with signing petitions. The political party might not like it, the Labour Party might not like it, the Conservative Party might not like it, but the people are charging you with the power of to bring the case for debate. This is the whole thing. And you're asking for directions, Now, the thing is, the Petitions Committee, we'll take control of everything. They kind of think that it's party political headquarters. They think that it's like some sort of amalgamation of, Labour Party headquarters and the Tory Party headquarters and SNP Party headquarters. Kind of like, National Lampoon's Day Out or something. Oh, we'll take care of it, or something. They're not like, well, actually, excuse me, please, sir, can I have some more? Can I bring some more evidence? Please, sir. Please, sir. It's like Oliver Twist, isn't it? Please, Scott Benton. Can I bring some more evidence, please? No, you can have 50 words, boy. 50 words. You say back at the end. Write it out 100 times, boy. Your petition, 50 words, boy. 100 lines on the blackboard. Scott Benton, I will not petition Scott Benton over 15-minute cities. I will not petition Scott Benton over 15-minute cities. I will not petition Scott Benton over 15-minute cities. I will not petition Scott Benton over 15-minute cities. Say till 6:30, boy. If I want it written out 5,000 times, I will not petition Scott Benton over 15-minute cities. No, boy, the standards, boy, standards. I will not petition Scott Benton over 50-minute cities. I will not petition Scott Benton over 50-minute cities. 100 lines, boy, 100 lines. This is it. Please, Scott, can I go get some evidence from the library? Can I go to Kew Gardens, Scott? Get some evidence? Oh, look, it's Professor Karen Bowie. Kiss Professor Karen Bowie from Glasgow University. Okaiganu, Professor, I'd like to submit your essay to professional standards, This is it. You know, it's Sir Jack Sparrow, and Professor Constitution. Let's Professor Constitution and Sir Jack. You know, message from the Queen. Message from the Queen, directions from the Queen. Here I am to save the day. You know, Sir Jack, Clark to the Queen. You know, I'm going between the worlds, like on, you know, Stardust. Oh, it's the guard in Stardust. Who's a tough character? It's Sir Jack. Sir Jack of the Constitution Society, you know, and oh look, here he is with a Babylon candle. It's the Professor of the Constitution Society, you know, Tristan with the Babylonian candle. Here we are to save the day. Ministry of Justice, the Twin Towers. You know, here we are. You know, he's a tough guy. He can beat Sir Jack with his Constitution Society. You know, here we are. Here's a candle to light. Have you got a pen? You know, hereby petition the king with this Babylonian candle. You know, smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast. Stick a firecracker up my bottom. You know, message from the Queen. Message from the Queen. Look, here we are. It's Baroness Moan. You know, with a lingerie factory. You know, and no tampon tax petitions here. You know, it's Theresa May and Paula Sheriff. So it's that's a joke, by the way, a long joke. So you know they're not entertaining directions. Really, I think if you're bringing a case to the Judicial Conduct Investigation Office as a plaintiff, yes, they are the investigator. But then again, the police are investigating when you are a victim, but if you don't give any statements or you don't tell them anything, you can't really direct them. They won't know where to go, where to investigate. So the victim does, you know, you are giving directions to the police when you report a crime. You know, when you even, you know, although the police go, no, it's like the police, you know, don't worry about it, you know, you don't need to don't ring 999, you know, don't report anything, it's all under our control. We've got our undercover officers here, undercover officers there, speed cameras here, speed cameras there, officers out on duty. Don't worry, you know, we'll come to the crime. Don't let the crime come to us. We'll go to the crime, you know. No need to submit directions. There's a telephone here, you know, do 999. Hello, is that the police? Yes, it's it. Hello, yes. I'd like to give some directions, please. I saw a boy steal a loaf of bread. Oh, we don't do that anymore. What, steal bread? No, we don't pursue petty crime. You know. This is it. So, in fact, I actually reported to Action Fraud, and I forgot what I reported them. Can't remember, and I think they were trying to ring me the other day from Belfast. Like, they've rung me 3 times, and I know the number's from Belfast, and it says that it's Action Fraud. And people who have reported that number calling say they only ring you if they want to speak to you about the report that you submitted. So I've kind of got to contact them. But, you know, for direct, you know, I don't know. Most people probably think they're just going to ring you up and say, yes, nothing to see here, you know, nothing to pursue here or whatever. So that's why people probably don't ring them back. But I don't know. There is a number, so I think you can ring them back, but it might go to answering machine. So I kind of bring this back in. So, yeah, I mean, with this whole Gail Bradbrook and, you know, Ian Bray, many of them have been acquitted already by the jury. And that's evidence that there's something to do with that. There's something going on between the 1500s and the 1661, between Oliver Cromwell and then Charles coming back in, between the royals going out and coming back in, and people having this kind of like, it must be an ongoing conflict around these rights. And then, but there is a procedure And I think it's a special. I don't think that it's just the justices get to check off petitions if there's, but only because there's loads of people getting involved in it, and they want to see what's going on. They want to see what's happening. They want to check it all. I think they might make inquiries then to find out what you're doing and so forth. Maybe the grand jury could have supported it then. I don't know, but they've got this special legal procedure, but it says that it's assizes, King's Bench. But he says justices or jury or magistrates, but that's not for offences related to it. That's for even actually getting past you, drafting it up and kind of pursuing it. But there's something in that brings it from local to central government, for local council, local matter to the king and either houses of parliament. That it's almost like local council versus central government. And the thing what I found now is that if you do seriously want a referendum, then it's the Secretary of State of Transport who does it. And although Parliament is saying you've got to petition local council for local matters, ultimately, if you want, once you reach this large amount, then it does go referred to Secretary of State. And really, you don't need anywhere 100,000 signatures to have a local referendum. So, if you're petitioning Secretary of State 100,000, you've overshot any constituency's local referendum count. And if you don't want to give you it, local referendum on your 20k signatures, and you've overshot it by, an insane number, you really want a debate in Parliament to know why he's not giving you the referendum. Not debate the matter, because for a local matter, 100,000 signatures takes the piss. You could get, and then you're looking, if in the Parliament debate they say we're not going to do it, you've been ripped off, because then what you're going to do, take them to court and pay £60,000 when the referendum was cheaper, and then someone's making a profit out of that. We're being gypped off. We're being completely and totally gypped off, and I think in the same kind of way with this aggressive, it's an aggressive taking of our rights and privileges, and it's a dumbing down of people through poor government advice, because they don't really want you to know what the other powers are, because they don't want you to use them, because political parties want to be in control. They want to direct everything. It's almost like, not even having a duty solicitor, or not having it's almost like not having a solicitor or lawyer. Sometimes the solicitors and lawyers are in on it, because they're all members of this elite socialist movement of barristers and lawyers who go to cocktail bars and parties and have, like, black belt barrister, beep, 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 motion detected outside, it's just, it's okay, it's just the Crown Prosecutor's coming for sex, this is it, or whatever. That's a joke, by the way. Their own cocktail party clan, and you don't know whether they're, playing their own game, playing us at a game, and whether they're holding us within certain restrictions by what they lead us to believe. This is why you don't know whether you can trust them all the time, So, there's that. But I that's going back to I don't think it's just a normal court. If you're petitioning a local council. The thing is, if you're petitioning the local council, the chairman of the council was a justice of the peace, and that is significant and figures in. Even if you need 3 justices or a grand jury, there's something going on with local matters. That tumultuous act is something to do with petitioning other houses of parliament. Why is it, or the king, or either, and you can have. There's that process where you can have a really serious charge against you. You can have it raised up and have a special investigation from the government and ask the king for it. Referral, and that's not an appeal. You're not appealing your case. You're actually asking for a special investigation on matter. Or you're bringing a special investigation yourself and not on a local level, like, public inquiry or... The Petitions Committee is essentially, it's like a mini tribunal in a way, a mini inquiry, So there is a special proceedings, and they're not doing special proceedings. The police are just bringing like normal charges, or it's criminal damage or whatever, and there's something. It's like that petitions, elections, 1960 Act for testing elections. It's a special proceeding. It's like a special act and law for it. And that is really what they're not doing at the moment with Gail Bradbrook and the whole lot. And I think that after 1661, well, in 1688, they made it illegal, imprisonment, and possibly even criminal charges. Maybe you can get fined or civil action if you've caused damage to something, but everything is insured. I don't, because it's signed by the jury in public bat and Crown. Whenever you mention the Crown Court, the jury pop up, and when you send a petition in the King, the Crown, you're getting signatures from the public pop up, and it's that bit of it. And that is why I don't think that you get prosecuted if you've got over, possibly even over 20 signatures. I mean, you don't really want 20 signatures of 20 bank robbers saying it's all right to rob a bank. But I mean, if you're, the case that you bring in has got to really be, you've really got to be, Riddler to, make out that that's something that the government can do, although, make it legal to rob bank. There's a certain, they're wanting to argue this out in the courts, what you can and can't do. It's not to debate in the courts what the right does and does not cover. Let's say that. It's not, I don't think that you're meant to debate in the courts what the right does and does not cover. And if you did, you were doing that in a tumultuous act before you even started, and it was all been decided by the jury or 3 justices. And if you had more than 20 people and you were going to get a big group together, they were getting it all sussed out. And then if you were naughty, they had a special procedure to deal with it, like the Elections Petitions 1960 Act sort of thing. That is what the Tumultuous Act is a procedure for as well. And in 1688-89, they've kind of scrapped it and said, well, we're not going to prosecute them or imprison them. And I don't know whether or not you get... I don't know if you can... If they can still sort of... If the Petitioners Committee or Parliament can, or the High Court can do something or not in regards to punishment and case management. But everything that you're doing, really, if you're in communication, submitting directions, you can ask for permissions and doing stuff. They're not even helping you with they're telling you to share the petitions, but when it comes to the paper ones, they're not helping you out with sharing them or getting them printed or any advice sheets for tax or even placing them in public on the Petitions Committee website. It's not even telling you that it's Class F and you got certain rights, because they don't really want you to know that, which is insane. That's the corruption. They want you to second guess everything and then mislead you. This is why I don't like courts. Cup and ball trick, magistrate court, sliding tackle, mudslide, clerk. Clark comes in with a bit of paper, giving it a dirty mudslide, Scunthorpe United, dirty soil, dirty wet slide with his boot into the shin, as a Your Honour, we forgot to tell you that the defendant's already got 9 points in his licence, and we can't forget that, can we? dirty slide kick. Oh, I'm doing my duty. I'm a good barrister. But this is it. All of it. Don't forget to tell them all the evidence that might prove that they're innocent as well. Mr. Clark. Here I come to save the day, Mighty Mouse. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, the hero. Let's not forget this piece of paper that says that it's actually, it should be a triple fine. Oh, about the other piece of paper, Mr. Clark, you forgot that says, actually, it turns out there's strong evidence that suggests that it was someone else. Did forget that one. That's the ticket, because Clark comes in, this dirty league soccer slide, dirty tackle into the fucking ankle or whatever, and then where is the ball? There's a cup. We deflated the ball. It's popped. Someone's popped the ball. Or whatever it is. I don't like there's a lot of corruption in the magistrates' courts. A lot of sleight of hand, Uri Geller spoon bending and so forth going on. But they probably think there is from the people. They think that we're all liars, scumbags, liars, hooligans, drunkards. But then someone conveniently thought it was a good idea to have like a pub directly opposite Leicester Magistrates Court. That's a good idea to have a pub. Anyway, I don't think that. I really don't think that at least the Magistrates Court. You see, notice that Extinction Rebellion are saying this is their evidence that they give. They give this evidence that when all their Crown Court cases, they're getting like 50% acquittals. It's a very, very good acquittal rate when they go to Crown Court with the jury, which means that when it goes to Magistrates Court, they're not getting acquitted, although I think Angela did. But then Max Hill took it to the High Court illegally. There was something weird going on with that. See, the Magistrates Court, you don't get good acquittal rates. But it's because of the people, the jury. Now, the thing is, if it's backed by the jury, if it's backed by the people in the first place, they're consenting to you doing it. So it's 100%, and then, you've told them what you're doing, everything that you're doing, and so forth. And the thing is, in the Tumultuous Act, you didn't have to go to the jury or a judge if you didn't have over 20 signatures. If you had less, you submitted a case actually to either House of Parliament. So you didn't have to have loads of signatures, but you guessing that you had compelling facts and circumstances, and you could give or ask for directions. How are you going to get a debate in Parliament if you don't have over that many signatures? It didn't need that many signatures for debate, which is insanely odd. Which means that if there's so many people turning up, but if it did have over 20 people participating, then it did, because they probably want to know what you're up to and what you're doing, why are these people supporting it? But then, were they the ones who said that you can have a debate in Parliament, right? Were they the ones deciding that you could have a debate or not? And if they weren't, if it's not them who decide you can have a debate, and not them who are looking at asking what you're up to, then it's the Petitions Committee, and if the Petitions Committee are making the decisions for what petition you can and can't have, and if they're making the decisions for if you can give directions and if you can call for summon people or subpoena stuff, then why aren't they making the decisions on your misdemeanors? they seem to be making the decisions on what you can and can't do because they're trying to bring legislation in to say all these things you can't do, as if they're doing it for the police, as if they're making police law. But it says that you can't be held to any commitments and you can't be prosecuted. So even if you did break the law and they brought these things in, then you can't serve prosecution. So what would you do? Like they've done to that girl from Just Stop Oil, that Louise, they've said she's not allowed out. That's almost like telling Jeremy Corbyn that he's not allowed out, but they can't stop him going into Parliament, though. And they can't stop Jeremy Corbyn from going to Kew Gardens. I don't think Keir Starmer can stop Jeremy Corbyn from going to Kew Gardens. I don't think Keir Starmer can stop Jeremy Corbyn from... can he take his driving licences off him and make him go on the bus to Kew Gardens? I don't think they can make him stay in his house. I think he can be banned from certain sittings if he misbehaves for so many sessions. He's still not prosecuted. He's still not convicted. But these people have been prosecuted, put through the courts, convicted, said you're a criminal, you've been charged, you've got a sentence, you've got a tag, you've got to pay a fine, or you've got community service, or you've got to go to prison. You can't have any of those things. None of them. You can't be imprisoned. And you're serving the community and doing good work when 100,000 people sign a petition and say that it's good work. So that's a joke. Now, if Parliament can somehow... But the thing is, if they want to ban you for 10 sessions, if they want to say, right, you're not allowed out of the house, but this is not a conviction or whatever for 3 weeks, but then they're saying, you've only got 6 months to get signatures on a petition. So if they were to say, to Louise for Extinction Rebellion, you're not allowed to go to any protests and collect any signatures, but then they've only got 6 months to collect signatures. So stick that in your tampon tax and give me 8 months. Smoke me a tampon. I'll be back in 8 months for breakfast on your e-petitions. Yes, it's Scott Benton. Louise, you're grounded for 3 months. How'd you like that? Although we're not going to prosecute or convict you, you're grounded for 3 months and you can collect signatures online. Oh, that's so convenient. But I've just spent £500 on printing flyers, Scott. Well, then you'll just have to slow down a bit. You're banned for 6 months and then you'll have to continue the petition after I lift your ban. Slow down. Meanwhile, as the trees are getting ripped out of, HS2, meanwhile, as, Cornwall Council, Truro Council are pulling palm trees down, the petition's to save those trees. Are you going to write... Well, hello, this is Scott Benton. It's the Secretary of State for Transport. Hello, Palm Beach. Well, I'm sorry, you'll have to suspend the pulling out of those palm trees because we've suspended Louise and she's only allowed to petition online now, not in person or travel. And when she give her a resume after 6 months, then she can carry on collecting the signatures and to stop you pulling the trees out, and you can carry on pulling them out and you can get back in front of them blocking them again and we can all be happy family. But if I'd have only given you a vote on it, hey Scott, here's 20,000 signatures, you want to give us a local referendum, saves all the trouble, 100,000 for a debate, you're going to say no to, hey look, it's Scott Benton, smoke me a kipper, I'll run it by the book. What is the book? What does the book say? Can I even read the book? What's going on here? What's happening here? Hey look, it's a political party. It's Keir Starmer. I'm not a crook. It's Point Break. I'm Keir Starmer. It's like the ex-current prosecutors. Rob petition signatures to finance their endless political party agenda. they steal referendums from the public to finance the endless debates that no one turns up for because they don't even bother turning up. Once they've stole a local referendum on you, then they give you a debate that they don't even turn up at. I'm not a crook, I'm Keir Starmer, I've run everything by the book. I'm a saint, Saint Keir. Where you been sent from? The CPS. I'm Saint Keir Starmer from the CPS. There's Angela Rayner, look. She's opening the Ark of the Covenant and the laser beams are connecting between everyone's eyes. Oh, it's the will of God from Angela Rayner. She's on fire. And look, there's, look, it's Penny Mordaunt, having sex on the House of Commons floor. Now it's really on fire, This is it. Who are these people? Have they got any qualifications? Do they have any academic qualifications? Are they professors? Is it Sir Jack and Professor Babylon Candle? It's Tristan. Here he is. Here's Tristan to save the day. Old Angel Eyes. Look, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey, Angel Eyes. Dun dun dun. It's like a standoff at the good, the bad, the ugly. It's Scott Benton. And Keir Starmer and Martin Day MP. It's like the good and the bad and the ugly. So the Mexican standoff, in the petitions committee, who threw the first rock, who collected the first signature, there is some kind of special process, assizes, King's Bench for those petitions after it went through the justices or grand jury anyway. If it was serious enough or dangerous enough, more than 20 people, where there might be the public might be at risk, where they want to see what you're up to and doing, and then if there's any trouble, then you've already gone through that. You brought it to the court or jury have looked at it, and then you've gone on then to the next stage. They've okayed it, and then if there's any naughtiness, then you've got this thing, King's Bench Assizes thing, and I'm not too sure. It's definitely not magistrates. It's not magistrates' court, because you've already got the grand jury already involved in the people. So it's not this. It's not three justices. It's from 1688. Either you can't be imprisoned at all on the basis of, it's not about you. It's about the matter. Like in the elections petitions special thing, it's the prosecutor is after what happened in the election, not the who's responsible, and it's. I think that's the sort of position Trump's in on one of his. Well, he's been charged with all sorts now, but on one of them, it's to do with that dynamic. And if you say that MPs have got this immunity, but then they were messing around with that. But Lord Hanningfield's got his immunity. But is it only because he's pursuing working for the people in the House of Lords, or just because he's waltzing around as himself? This is it. And if we are engaged in that, I'm quite certain that whatever it is, it's the same as what Hanningfield's got. And either you're engaged or you aren't, and you're engaged temporarily or for a term or permanently, but it's all the same thing, and there are just different people involved for different lengths of time, and I think that I'm starting to see now that I think it's more like in the Commons when they're like sitting in the naughty chair, whatever, but you can get impeachments, and this you can't have a pardon from an impeachment in Parliament. Now, with a normal criminal case, if you get convicted, you can always appeal higher and higher up to Parliament. And I think that if they reject it, then you can't ask for a pardon because you've gone as high as you can go. What even is a pardon? Is it an appeal? Well, it is an appeal in a way. A pardon surely is an appeal. But it's different because they say they're sorry for some mistake or other. But I think that with there's some procedure that hops, skips and jumps it, a very old one, petitioning the king in either house. When you've got something against you, but that's for a special investigation. But that's the thing. Petitions Committee do investigations. The Petitions Committee do investigation. It's like a mini inquiry. So it is an investigation anyway, right? And if you're bringing the case, whether it's a case against someone else, whatever, they've got that. But it's not an appeal of a decision made at a lower level. And the thing is, in that 1661 Act, you go to the lower level anyway when you're bringing the petition in the first place. But, and all that's going to be sorted out. All this Sunak legislation coming through, but a lot of it's not compatible. He's putting restrictions. He's making offences and crimes for something you can't be convicted or prosecuted for, even prison sentences and terms. And he's giving you actual criminal charges illegally when you can't be prosecuted and making it into law, like the police, even though there's nothing to say how, as long as the police, is used for purpose, it doesn't say how much you can or can't do. A lot more dangerous things than locking onto stuff, speeding in the police car. So there's something going. They're making enactments and actually having offences in a court being charged criminally. You can't do that. What I think Sunak can do, or Parliament, or the committee, I think they can do it kind of like whips or directions, but they can't convict you. And I don't think they can hinder you I don't think they can stop you collecting evidence of the public support, because that's important, because then they'll be obstructing you from getting evidence. And part of the evidence is the facts and circumstances, but part of the evidence is the facts of the public, the witnesses. And if they were to hinder and slow you down, and if it was time critical, like they were going to pull up a tree and you were saving it, they're actually stopping you from doing it. The work. So, I can't see how if Corbyn's banned or misbehaved and he's banned from sessions, how is he going to represent the public? And if no one's turning up at these debates, and it's bad enough that no one's turning up, and then what if like 10 MPs were going to turn up but they'd all misbehaved, and John Bercow would ban them all, then that's no good for the electors, is it? So this party leader whip thing, and they didn't always have parties. So this Keir Starmer kicking Corbyn out of a party, what happens if we ban political parties altogether? How's it going to work then? So I don't think the police are acting as whip. This is why I've always said that I didn't mind the basis of the police kind of doing site management but not prosecuting or convicting. But if the case is protecting a tree and the police and the public are silent and supporting it and want the tree protected, and the police are serving the public interest, how can Boris tell the police to do what he wants when the people could get a local referendum of only 20,000 signatures that the Secretary of State of Transport really should be granting, not debating Parliament, which costs a lot more signatures. It doesn't make sense. These MPs are... They're not... I don't think that they are serving a function of what we've elected them to do. I think that they are taking over control of the government. And when you say, well, it's a Tory-controlled council, you say it's only a Tory-controlled council till people start petitioning for them. Then the public are taking control. The public are taking control. If you elect someone and say, I voted you in, do what the fuck you want, then let Care take control of it all. Don't worry, vote for Care, and then once you've elected him to, represent you, allow him to do what you want. This is what it comes down to. Robert F. Kennedy saying that, pick me up, I'm a sledgehammer, use me as a sledgehammer. What they're saying is, vote for Tories and then let, Sunak be in control of it all. When you've got a right to give directions to your MP and go about asking also for permission to do this or that, or say that you're doing this or this and that, and are you insured and liable? If the thing is that they're not helping themselves out with all these protests and actions, because they're only giving people 10 minutes. They don't want to meet people. They don't want to be agreeable. They're not answering to emails. You might say, well, there's far too many people for an MP to be agreeable with. It's bedlam. There's so many, 50% of the electorate didn't turn out to vote. And then, they don't get the MP they wanted because there weren't any. And all the ones who did vote, he's meant to be serving them, really, and all the others can stick it. But they're all now bringing in... It seems to me that with the internet and with the modern day and age, the MP is obsolete. The MP is really past his sell-by date. He's past his pumpkin carriage to Parliament, if he ever was a con artist. The mobile phones now, and now you've desperately got, they're desperately trying to get control back and give directions for this behemoth of a beast of mobile phones and online polling and voting, which you've got Rees-Mogg popping up like, who's who, trying to try and direct the public. Don't worry, everyone. Calm down. The fire escapes, calm down. Don't worry, Care. I'll get control of this situation. Here I am on GB News. Rees-Mogg, Knight of the Realm. Don't worry, everyone. Do as I say. Calm down. Keep calm and carry on. Don't listen to that man. Don't listen to Lawrence Fox, the man behind the curtain. This is it. They're desperately, there's a couple of wardens. It's like the swimming baths, isn't it? The attendant of the swimming pool. They're all, everyone's panicking now. It's free, inflatable. It's like they're giving out free, swimming badges or something. Calm down, everyone. Don't worry, Rees-Mogg, the attendant's here to calm everyone down. Vote Tory. I'm not advocating vote Tory. Vote National Conservatism. Vote Tory. I'm not telling anyone to vote Tory. This is it. There's a certain level of initiative and engagement and giving directions that we're allowed to have. And it's not just simply share this petition on Facebook, because we're having issues with Facebook. They're removing things and they're not even doing that. So when they do give a direction and they do actually allow you to do something rather than nothing, don't paint walls, don't cause havoc in the streets, but when they do actually tell you to do something, there is something you can do. Keir Starmer will take care of everything. Don't worry, you're collecting all my signatures for me, Keir. Don't worry, I'll get your 100,000 signatures for you. Will you, Keir? That's brilliant. Now you're talking. No, don't worry. I'll give you some directions, then you're right, I'll let you do something. Share this on Facebook. Well, I'm having problems on Facebook. They took my page down. Oh, don't worry then, we'll have to Sabina it, get it back or whatever. No, not even that. So no wonder when you've got all these channels removed, and it was the 77th Brigade who took them down, right? How are you supposed to gather evidence of public concern? Oh, it's Parliament. We don't want you posting this or talking about that. Take it down, 77th Brigade. Oh, here's Rees-Mogg popping his head up again. Guess who? Who's who? Here I am, Rees-Mogg on GB News. I'll tell you what to vote and who to believe in and what to say. Here I am, Rees-Mogg to 77th Battalion. Have you taken those pages down? Don't worry, I'm giving up directions on GB News. This is it. Just a minute. I'm asking the public what they think to this, which is readily available information from Kew Gardens. Look, I even put a link in my petition. Oh, it's Scott Benton. Your petition contains false, libelous, or frivolous information that's false. But, Scott, it's from Kew Gardens, a document, and this is a link to the legislation on Parliament, but it's false or frivolous or misleading information. No, Scott, it's a government website, Yes, but I just don't want to have it on there because I'm Scott Benton and I'm an awkward bugger, and I don't want your petition to be highly successful and contain compelling facts and information. It's like walking into, a court with not guilty tattooed on your forehead, and the police and crown prosecutor accusing you of not having not guilty tattooed on your forehead. Your Honour, we accuse the defendant of not having not guilty tattooed on his forehead. Therefore, you have to find him guilty. But he's got not guilty tattooed on his forehead. Oh, we can't have you coming in here. Don't. No need to attend. Oh, look, it's it's Southampton Council or Poole Council at the court. Don't. No need to attend. No need to attend. But I've got not guilty written on my forehead, Your Honour. No need to attend. But the charges are not having not guilty on your forehead. Is that a crime now? Apparently so. It's an offence to not have not guilty tattooed on your forehead, but I've got it on my forehead, not guilty. Look, if I turn up in the court, all I have to do is turn up, and then the jury will be compelled to find me not guilty. Well, don't just, no, I do not summon you here. I do not summon you here. I don't summon you. I don't summon you. You go away, don't turn up. Or turn up with a COVID mask over your face or a bag over your head. I know, but we can't have. It's new facial recognition, Your Honour. I've been checked. It's a security guard. We've got it's like having a security guard at the court. Oh, no blades, no blows. Leave your weapons here. Oh, what about that tattoo on your forehead? That'll prove you're not guilty. We'll have to remove that with this laser. Zing, zing, zing. There we go. There we go. Now walk through the booth. Bing. There's a beep. I've got a silver coin in my pocket. This is it. I am doing a petition. I'm petitioning the government to the right of petition. It cannot be prosecuted. You are not doing a petition to the government. There is no act saying you cannot be prosecuted by the courts. It's like Extinction Rebellion. This is it. So, there's another process and procedure, and it doesn't involve criminal charges, somewhat like civil case. It involves money or taking your car. Magna Carta says you can't have your car taken. You know, and most of the stuff's insured. So unless it's like exceptionally rare, like my scratch card that Camelot stole from me, that I think has a £200,000 value, and I want to take them to the small claims court when I get around to it, but I haven't been feeling like it, getting all the stuff together, because I haven't been too well. And it takes focus and concentration. And I to be honest, I got to make sure that I fill all the documents in properly if I did do it, and that I didn't forget anything or miss anything out. So I really, they're not even they're not even engaging really with as much. I think if you get the 10,000 or 100,000 signatures, they can email you. They've emailed Tess Lowry, and they told her to turn up, but they didn't. Well, they summoned her to turn up in the spectators booth. They didn't ask her into the committee or adjourn. They can adjourn from place to place, so they could probably. They probably could rent a room out in Bristol Council, and or even in an MP office in Bristol. They could say they wanted to have a meeting with her if they wanted to. They're not doing anything like that, and it's disappointing, really. And the Bristol Council told Tess Lowry to take her banner down, that was over the M32, when it's protected, even from the Highways Act, when there's, HGV banners all the way down, left, right, and centre of the motorway, and everywhere. And they didn't even want to back her up on that, and send not even send a letter. The Lands of Freedom of Information, we'll take a little time to think it over. Take a little time. It's like the beautiful South, isn't it? Take a little time. Didn't you? You took a little time to give me freedom of information, didn't you? Why don't you just write a letter to Bristol Council to cease and desist, telling me to take my banner down when I'm trying to collect my evidence of public support? This is it. They're really not. They don't want to do anything. Petitions committee, nothing. Even just lie, claim that it doesn't exist or we can't do it. Just blatant. I don't know whether it's dying of a day. Gustav Graves, Scott Benton. Is it Gustav Graves fencing? That doesn't exist, or they're just dumb, not educated enough, but we're being treated worse than Corbyn's being treated by Starmer, worse than Jason Williamson's being treated by Starmer, being treated worse than, But then, a lot of these Extinction Rebellion people have been treated all right by the jury. The jury have been treating them better. I don't see how you can have a random jury of 12 people who can do something that the Petitions Committee can't do. When you've already got, 10,000 people saying that it's all right, even if, someone's, I don't really want to advocate people. This is the thing. They climbed on the roof of Sunak's house to put a banner there. I don't know whether I advocate that or not. But this is the thing. A lot of this is to do with promoting things and so forth. When it's getting to the point where the people are blatantly, physically intervening in the thing that they're opposing, at least they're not opposing the ULEZ cameras, and instead of, actually seizing the ULEZ cameras or, impounding them or pending debate or referendum or whatever, at least they're not claiming that they're opposing ULEZ and then going for, I don't know, rob a bank and say, I've got any money to fund this. No, they're not doing that quite yet. You know, they're not, slaughtering a goat or something, sacrificing a goat, bloodletting a goat. I mean, Extinction Rebellion may be getting towards the climate, jumping on oil rigs and stuff like that. I don't really know what else to say. There's got to be some sort of intellectual human capacity engaged with it, you know, and it could be that some people like Roger Hallam are kind of like, I kind of, that whole handing food out from the supermarket, the fact is that they told people they were doing it. And another point that's really important when it comes to these matters is that the difference between a criminal and someone who's petitioning the government is that you're right. You're not hiding or concealing it. You're not like, when you steal something, you usually conceal it so they can't see you're doing it, or you won't be able to steal it, or you don't want them to know because they'll come and take it back. If you steal a painting, if you knew where the painting was, you could go get it back. But if they've stolen a painting and no one knows where it is, you can't. Like, I've had my big cop.biz paintings stolen, no one knows where they are. Royal Mail. Now, if you are, standing in the middle of London waving a, torch, going, waving like a flaming torch, going, don't vote for, ULEZ, you're promoting that, and you not try, hide the fact that you're doing it. There's something in criminals to do with evading people knowing about it. But then again, it comes down to what the court's doing, they're just blatantly lying. They're not trying to conceal the facts, although they don't record magistrates' courts. Magistrates' courts aren't recorded. I always said they should have been, because that's what ended up making them corrupt with cup and ball tricks, until Extinction Rebellion start going in there and, recording it and writing things down and taking notes and reporting back on it and challenging them on it and so forth. This is the thing. And they're abusing the power and people are scared of them and then they get away with it, but this is with the MPs, though, where they got immunity, and then they're the ones that are trying to lead you to believe this or this is true, or, the MPs are blatantly telling lies or putting misleading guidance on the websites and so forth. They're blatantly doing it out in the open, and so forth, Haddingfield and all that. But they are claiming immunity, and they're not getting prosecuted, so, but what about parking? You're doing something naughty. But they're sending you, they're not going after you, they're going after your money or your vehicle. So, there's a few things that I need to draw up, like that Local Petitions Referendum Act. What is the pursuit of it? Is the pursuit a criminal charge, or is the pursuit just the establishing whether the election was illegitimate and needs to be held again? And then you've got this whole civil thing, he's not going after the person, a criminal charge, and so forth. So, we're still trying to suss it out. This is what Black